Reading Isaiah chapter 53, verses 1 through 5. Who hath believed our report? And to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of dry ground. He hath no form nor comeliness. And when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrow and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he hath bore our grief, and carried our sorrow. Yet we did not esteem him, stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquity. The chastisement of peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. I was reading that first and second verse there. And it says, there is no beauty that we should desire him. And when I was reading that, it almost broke me even more, because I knew that I had heard it said that Jesus wasn't a handsome man. He was just a man, just a average Joe. He had so much more to offer. He's just a regular looking guy. Nothing fancy about his face. Said he was plain. But then I was reminded, and my uncle actually shared this many years ago when I was a kid, I remembered this, that they said the best way to understand Jesus while he was on the cross was to picture hamburger meat hanging out to dry. He was so beat, bruised, and afflicted that you couldn't even really tell who he was anymore. And then as I'm reading this, that was brought back to my memory. And it absolutely broke me this morning. I'm sitting outside talking to my wife and, kind of sharing this with her. And she knew about this, but she said, it kind of makes sense, because it's like, for a woman, she said, if a man is handsome, it'd be kind of more difficult to talk to him because you're thinking about how he looks. But with a man that's more plain looking, you're something about that person, when you have a sense of peace about him, you're more willing to open up to him. And it's the same with the man. If a woman is not attractive, you're more apt to speak to them as you're speaking to a friend. And you're not chasing after them because the lust of the eyes. And we know that Satan's plan is going to be the exact opposite of what Jesus did. Satan's going to be a damn handsome man. And I'm not trying to be cute here, I'm just being honest. He's going to be a very handsome man, and people are going to lust after him. But here Jesus was. Just a plain looking guy with so much more to offer. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrow and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. And he was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he hath bore our grief, and carried our sorrows. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquity. And the chastisement of our peace was upon him. And with his stripes we are healed. Reminded of when, at times I was a child and I was sick, my father would pray for me. And he would say, Lord, it's by your stripes that we are healed, and we're taking claim over that in Jesus' name. And it wasn't long later that I would overcome the sickness. And I believed it was because of the stripes. And there were times that I had faced things in my life, whether it be death of a friend or family, or just dealing with pain and heartache, whatever it may be. And I could remember reaching out to Jesus and talking to him as if he was a friend. And it wasn't long later that I'd had peace over the situation. And I believed it was because the chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. See, we go through things in our lives not really knowing that if we'll just call out, if we'll just shout out his name, the darkness will be turned to light. Our mourning will be turned to laughter and joy and a peace that passes all understanding. By his wounds we are healed. Jesus wasn't a pretty man. He was just an average looking guy. He wasn't nothing special to look at. And that's what blows my mind. He could have been such a beautiful man. But he wasn't. And now, in closing, we'll go to Isaiah 54, verse 17. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord. Hold tight, my friends. He's coming. Even through our struggles and our pains and our heartaches and our fears, our doubts, whatever, he's coming. Oh, he might not have looked like much, but what he offered was so much more than we can ever understand.